You know how in music we've got lots of weird language and things that only musicians know? We've got, crotchets and quavers and semiquavers and crescendos and all this fancy language. And if you do, a classical music degree or get into that, you're going to know some language yourself. If you do some jazz stuff, you might know some funny ones like contrapuntal elaboration of static harmony. We've got all our fancy sayings, and if we're sitting around the dinner table with other friends and family, they have no idea what we're talking about, right? Well, in the business world, building a music school, there's also some business language, some marketing language that sounds tricky and technical, but you do want to understand it, even if you're just teaching on your own, but you've got ambitions to build a proper business. This is not for you if you just want to, keep owning a job, just being your own solo teacher. But if you want to do something bigger than yourself, build a real business, you want to start to learn some of these different sayings, what they mean, and how you can use them to grow your business. So I challenge you, as I give you this little clip, which is going to break some of that down for you, stick it out, learn this stuff. It'll be good for you. It'll definitely help you in your business. And so I'm going to cut to a clip here where Mike Loudon, one of our BAM squad coaches, absolute wizard when it comes to all things digital marketing for music schools. He was doing a workshop, and here's a snippet where he talks about some of these terms, what you need to know, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So if you want to interact with Mike, me, any of the coaches, anything we do here at Build a Music School, grab a link to a free trial down below. I'll put that in the comments section, and you can click through and come hang out with us and talk more to Mike and myself about anything that you hear today. So here's Mike. Enjoy this.
Let's talk about ROAS. So this is going to be the general this is in the background of everything we're going to be talking about. And ROAS is something that I think a lot of us have heard about. Probably everybody in this group has heard about, but they may not know it on sort of an intimate level and really what that means. And then all of the extra side benefits that comes from thinking about your marketing in a ROAS perspective, as opposed to maybe an ROI perspective, or how maybe a lot of small businesses go, which is just like, I ran some Facebook ads and I got some more calls. I think it's working, right? Again, a lot of us are probably past that point, but it's still worth talking about. So ROAS is return on ad spend. That's what that stands for, fancy. And again, this is the main metric used by smart marketers, right? So anytime you start getting to the higher levels of marketing, they're basically talking about ROAS. So to me, that means we should probably be thinking about it too. Again, even if we're not spending the same amount of money as Coca-Cola or whatever yet. It's normally represented as a ratio, 1 to 10, or such as like 1 to 10 or a percentage. We'll talk about that and learn more about that later. And then, as I've kind of been saying, so understanding ROAS can really help you break through to kind of some new ground. We'll get more kind of into the weeds about this, but having this marketing mindset and how you're spending your marketing dollars, this can help you kind of stagnate. So if you feel like you're spending X towards marketing and it's working and you like it, but you think that's kind of all there is to it, which I think a lot of people at kind of the businesses around our size, that's where we tend to go. Thinking about ROAS can kind of expand some things rather than just thinking about lowering your customer acquisition cost, that CAC. Most people will just be like, well, what's getting me the lowest customer acquisition cost? And then I'm just going to dump all my money towards that. That is a totally fine strategy, but it is going to stagnate at some point. And if you feel like you're plateauing, oftentimes that's why. And that's what we want to talk about today. Let's look at an example, shall we? I'm going to use really basic, really simple numbers. They're not going to be music school specific. We'll talk about that later, but just so we all kind of have a good feeling about this. So let's say you have a customer acquisition cost of $10. Again, simple numbers, small numbers, just to get going, right? So with all your marketing, it takes $10 for a customer to sign up with you. We love it. Let's say your customer lifetime value is $100. So again, this is the total amount of money you're going to be making with this customer for the time that they're with you. Retention is the big part of that. I'm really glad that this is coming after the retention talk, because customer lifetime value is the lifeblood of all of this. I pinky promise. So let's say you did a marketing push. Your customer acquisition cost is $10. You get 10 customers with that. We love to see it. That, of course, means you spent $100. So 10 customers, $10 a pop. You spend $100 in marketing. We love to see it. But that's to make $1,000 in LTV, right? Those 10 customers times 100. We get it. We love it. So overall, that's $900 in profit. Yes, because that's $1,000 that you're going to be getting minus $100 that you spent to get them. Fantastic. Okay. So ROAS is calculated as your revenue or profit over ad spend. I put revenue or profit because some people put revenue as that top number. I don't like doing that. I like doing it off profit because I think that gives you a way better actual idea of things. So everything that I'm going to be talking about is profit over ad spend, but just so you know. So this ROAS in this example would be 1 to 9 because I made $900, right? So my profit was $900, 1 to 9 or 900%. Love to see it. And the reason why I like that representation is that can kind of give you a really interesting way of looking at it. Is like, hey, for every dollar of marketing I spent, I made back $9, right? Which is great. The stock market works the same way. I'm just kidding. So $1 for marketing you spent, get $9, va-voom. That would be a fantastic thing, right? So there's some math stuff. I'm really sorry. Just so we can take it back down, here's a wizard. Doesn't he look cool? Don't we feel better about everything? We didn't do a bunch of boring math. We're looking at cool pictures of wizards. Look at this fellow. Well, let's do another example, shall we? All right. So this is going to be sort of an extreme example just to show you how this thinking can kind of change stuff for you. So let's say that your customer acquisition cost goes to $15. All right. Now $10 to 15 doesn't seem like a lot, I know, but that's a lot. That's 50%. Imagine your rent or your mortgage goes up by 50%, or you tell your customers you're going to raise their tuition by 50%. It's a lot, right? We're using small numbers for examples, but 50% is crazy. If your customer acquisition cost goes up by 50%, be mindful. But let me show you something. Let's say your customer lifetime value stays the exact same, right? Still $100. You didn't change anything with that. You didn't listen to Johnny. You didn't improve your retention. You're still doing $100. And with all of that, with that $15 across everything, you only booked one more customer, just one more customer, 11 customers rather than 10. Here's all that fancy math, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, you actually made more profit with a way higher customer acquisition cost, 50%. Now, again, 900 versus 935 may not seem like a lot, but if you think about percentages, that's kind of huge, right? And again, this is a sort of extreme example. It's not always going to work out this way, but it can. I've seen it work this way. So if you have a mentality where you go, I'm just going to spend as little as possible to try to get people through my door, what if your customer acquisition cost was 50% more? You could still potentially make way more profit. And most of the time, we're talking more numbers of like increasing it by 10 or 20%, something less scary, and still getting more people through your door. We love to see it. Yes? Questions, thoughts, concerns, thumbs up, rock horns, various other gestures. Feeling good? Awesome. This is something that I'm sure we've all seen before, but this is how this kind of works. All right. And jumping around this is how we're going to be marketing really effectively. Okay. So as we all know, this is the marketing funnel. If you don't know, this is the marketing funnel. So basically people start up here, very, very broad. Hopefully you can see my mouse. I'm not sure, but we start really, really broad up here at awareness. And then eventually they move on down. They're interested. They're considering you. They're moving on down. They get to purchase, right? So what I find is a lot of people who are stagnating in their marketing, they're only focusing on one section of this. And that's because it's working for them, which is awesome. But then again, you just can't go too much farther. Some examples. So again, as we know, I'm a Google Ads guy. I love this bottom of the funnel, right? So I love grabbing people who are saying, hey, I want music lessons. I want piano lessons. I love grabbing those folks, right? And a lot of times it can go really, really well. The problem is these are going to be expensive clicks. These might be expensive leads to get, right? Because Google knows that these are really high intent people. And if you have competition, they're willing to spend a lot of money on that because of that. And then therefore your cost is going to go up, right? But overall, because these are high intent, maybe you book more customers with these. You have a really, really good customer acquisition cost that you're happy with, boom, right? On the flip side, say you're maybe more on like the Facebook, Instagram side of things. You're more up towards awareness. People have no idea who you are, but they see a wonderful ad created. They see a cool offer for music lessons and they jump right in the funnel. The way this one might normally work is it's going to take a lot more leads potentially to get signed up because they have no idea who you are. They didn't even know they wanted piano lessons until they saw your ad. But in exchange for that, you're normally going to get much cheaper clicks and stuff like that. So that can kind of balance out, right? However, again, like I said, people tend to stick on one side or the other. And I think for most people, that's a really, really big mistake. And if you can think about your overall ROAS and you can think about, hey, maybe my customer acquisition cost is a little higher up at this top of the end of the funnel for me. But overall, when I blend that in with my other stuff, I'm making more profit, right? I can't tell you how many times I've seen people go, why would I do this? It costs me $5 more per customer. What? For $5 more per cut? Like I'll do that all day long, right? All day long.